When It Rains. This was probably one of the first songs I wrote after I'd finished Focal Point. I mean, a lot of my songs come from a pool of demos that I have anyway, but I remember writing When It Rains very shortly after Focal Point, because I was experimenting with a bass guitar sound. But the song in the context of the album was to do with the idea that the character had fallen in love with someone that he couldn't do anything about, and obviously because he was in a situation where he couldn't do anything, he decided to put his energies into something else. And this is one of the things that he does. He starts to help other people. And when I was thinking about who he could be helping, this song was just basically waiting to be put into the album, because I remember watching the news, and I've seen, everyone's seen it. There was a war-torn landscape, and there was rubble, and there was smoke and burnt out cars. And what struck me was there was children playing on these streets, and the children were laughing, and the children were coming up to the cameras and waving, and it just struck me that the human spirit will overcome all this adversity and this pain and suffering, and the children can find joy in companionship between themselves. And it was the strength of the human spirit, especially children's spirits, that made me write the song When It Rains. And there was this idea of, obviously, always looking on the bright side, but these children need people. If they've lost their families, they need someone to support them. And I just decided that my character would spend his life doing right by people who were the victims of wars, and that was the reason why this song went into the album. This was what the character ended up doing for the majority of his life. He did right. He ends up doing he ends up doing the right thing.
There's a little spot beneath
Waiting. It's a love song, but it's sad, and it's well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to explain this idea that terminal illnesses are cause people concern. I mean, we're all going to die. We all know we're going to die. But when someone's got a finite amount of time, we have to look at it. I get this idea that people are regarded through different eyes because we know they're going to die, and it's just a way. Death is just a natural result of life, and it does seem strange that there's a stigma attached to certain diseases and a stigma attached to certain types of death. And I wanted to kind of examine this in a song, but at the same time I wanted to, as the album was drawing to an end, I wanted the character to have a happy ending. I knew he was going to die, but I didn't want it to be that he'd done wrong in the past, but he'd made amends, and he'd done right by a lot of people towards the end of his life, and I just wanted to put him in the arms of someone who loved him. And this is the reason why I asked a friend of mine, Sammy, to come in and do the female, to do her voice, and lend her voice to the album, and it just makes for a kind of happy, a bittersweet ending, I suppose it is, to an album. But no, it was a love song, and yeah, he dies happy. Sorry if I've spoiled the ending, you haven't heard the album, but yeah, this is the reason why that song exists on the album. And the final track, The Human Race. Yeah, well, it kind of fades in from track 9, doesn't it? It fades in from Waiting. But why did I make it 2 separate songs? I mean, it's very similar instrumentation, but Waiting had its own story. What I wanted to do with The Human Race was, I suppose, introduce a twist to the end of the story, and I think I managed it, and it was a strange, yeah, it took me a while to come up with this idea, but once it entered my head, I couldn't see another alternative. This idea that if we die, or when we die, we do go to someone, because I questioned this idea of God beforehand and disregarded it, and because of my own personal belief that we don't particularly go anywhere else after we're dead, I just thought to myself, wouldn't it be strange if we did go somewhere else when we died and we weren't let in? So we became the ultimate victims of a prejudice from another species, another life form, you know, some alien race much greater than us, or who regarded this earth with envious eyes. But no, but you know, this idea that we aspire to get to a better place, and then we get there and we are told that we can't come in because we're not liked, because we're just the wrong species. We're just humans, and humans aren't allowed. And I just thought that was a nice way to end the album. It was yeah, it was the ultimate prejudice against the whole of our species. And the line, I think it's one of the lines that says, we just don't like. There's no explanation. You know, it says we like, you know, they love the planet Earth, but we just don't like the human race. And I just thought, yeah, isn't that strange, to be disliked as a whole species rather than being disliked because of one particular aspect of our humanity.